Hello and welcome to Math World. Today we're going to talk about solving and graphing inequalities. So inequalities are just equations that are not equal. So they don't have the equal sign, they have this inequality sign. And so first let's look at how they're read. So when you see this little sign here, I always think of it as like a Pac-Man, and whoever it's trying to eat is the greater or larger number. So here we would say 15 is greater than y. If it helps you, go ahead and draw like a little Pac-Man on him so you can see it. Alright, you see him eating the 15? So that means that 15 is greater than y. We don't know what y is, but whatever it is, 15 is greater than it. Let's look at the next one. X is, well, it's eating the negative 2, so we can say that x is less than negative 2. Since it's eating the negative 2, we'll say that x is less than. And lastly, if it has this little bar under it, that means or equal to. So this says 10 is greater than, because it's eating the 10, or equal to z. So here we would say that it's greater than or equal to. So we don't know what z is, but it could be 10, or it could be something less than 10. 10 is greater than z or equal to it. Alright, so now that we know how to read it, let's go ahead and solve some. Now, the easy thing about this is it's solved exactly the same way as equations. If I have 51 is less than 7x minus 12, I use my inverse operation to find out what x is. Alright, so let's remember inverse operation. First, we do the inverse of the addition or subtraction. It's minus 12. The opposite of minus 12 is plus 12. So I'll add 12 to the other side of my problem. 51 plus 12 is 63. Then I'll do the opposite of the multiplication or division. The opposite of 7 multiplied by x is divide by 7. So let's divide by 7, and 63 divided by 7 is 9. So we can say that x is not equal to 9. We're going to use this inequality sign and say that 9 is less than x. Alright, now the thing about inequalities, we have to graph them. We graph them on a number line, which isn't too bad. So you draw the number line, just a little arrow in the bar, and since x is not 9, it's not equal to 9, we want to show on the number line all the things that x can be. Now the easiest way to do a quick number line is to draw the line, add 0 somewhere in the middle so that we get a good sense of where we are. Then go put the number that we found that x is greater than. Let's say 9. We'll put 9 on this side of the 0 because that's where the positive numbers go. And I don't have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in there. 0 and 9 is good enough. And then, so here's the tricky part. Depending on what inequality sign is whether or not I'm going to have an open circle at 9 or a closed circle. Now if it's not equal to 9, see how it's less than, or x is greater than 9, I'm going to leave this circle open, meaning that x is everything greater than 9, but not 9. And then I'm going to shade in everything that's greater than 9. X is greater than 9. 9 is less than x. So I'm going to shade in and make this side of the number line shaded in, meaning these are all the possible answers x could be. X could be 10, it could be 11, it could be 12. Those are all numbers greater than 9, but it can't be 9, so that's why we keep the bar open. It's got to be greater than 9. Alright, so it's solved just like inverse operation, and then we graph it. Let's see this next one. Now here's the only tricky part about inequalities solving. Same steps, it looks pretty much the same, except here we have a less than or equal to sign. But here's the tricky part. I added a negative 7, and let's see what that does to the problem. Well, step 1, opposite of the addition or subtraction, same thing. Add 12, 51 plus 12 is 63. But now I want to do the opposite of the multiply. After I do the opposite of the multiplication, I'm going to do the opposite of multiply by negative 7. I'm going to divide by negative 7, and here's the tricky part. When you multiply or divide by a negative, when we're trying to solve, you have to flip the inequality. flip the inequality. So, see if I have room for this. So when I find 63 divided by -7 is -9, and I bring my x down, I'm going to flip this sign. It's not going to be less than or equal to anymore. It's now going to be greater than or equal to. Okay, you see how this inequality sign got switched from less than to a greater than? That was because I divided or multiplied by a negative when I was solving. Divided by -7. It flipped the sign. Alright, now let's graph it. Similar to the one before, I'm just going to draw a quick number line, throw down my 0. Let's see, -9 is going to be on the left side of my 0. And this time, when deciding whether or not to make it an open circle or a closed circle at -9, it has an or equal to sign, so I'm going to go ahead and close this circle. The or equal to sign means I can close it. And then let's see, which direction do I shade? Well, -9 is greater than x, which means that x is less than -9. So I want to shade x, shade everything that's less than -9. All the numbers that are less than -9 are this way. -10 and -12, -13, -1,000,000. Those are all numbers smaller than -9. And so I'll shade in everything over here. So there you go, that's pretty much it. Solve using inverse operation. If you see the divide by negative, you gotta flip the sign. And then put it on a number line, either open circle or closed circle, and we're gonna shade our value of all our possible x's, all our possible variables. Well, that's it, and I'll see you in class. Now for a word from our sponsor, Papercut Games. This week's game is 100 Swords. I got this game on Kickstarter, so you might have to find it on eBay or something, or eventually it'll get sold on their website. But it's a pretty cool little micro deck builder game, 100 Swords. Basically, the way it works is you start out with a very small deck of cards that include just some boots and a crappy sword and an awkward sword. But as the game goes on, you will fight different monsters like this Fishman, and you'll acquire bigger swords like Wither Sword and better boots, quick boots. And whenever you acquire things, they go to your deck, and it kind of makes your deck more powerful so that you can beat bigger monsters. And so there's a deck of cards. It's a very small, simple game, and you lay out different cards, and as you play, you kind of go through the cards, and they'll flip over and tell you what it is, whether it's an item or a monster. And the goal, of course, is to get the most kills and collect the most items and then beat a boss. And it's a pretty simple game. It looks like it's going to be expanded a lot. They already have 2 different decks you can play with and 4 different like booster packs to add new things to the dungeon. But I played it and it was pretty fun. So check out 100 Swords.